In the UK, outgoing Prime Minister Boris Johnson has faced off against opposition leader Sir Keir Starmer for the last time. The two clashed over Johnson's legacy and the economy as he attended his final Prime Minister's questions. Conservative MPs are currently whittling down the candidates to replace him after Mr. Johnson reluctantly resigned as Prime Minister earlier this month. Three runners remain in the race: Rishi Sunak, Penny Mordaunt, and Liz Truss, after Kemi Badenoch was knocked out yesterday. Joining us now from London is Arise News Chief Correspondent John Cookson. John, great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us. What did you make of Johnson's last Prime Minister's questions?
Hi guys, great to be on Newsday. Well, what a performance there from Boris Johnson, his last scheduled statement at the dispatch box. He, of course, remains as Prime Minister until September. It was all good knockabout fun. Prime Minister, of course, concerned about his legacy. So there was a lot of talk of how he got Brexit done, how he got Britain through COVID, and how Britain has been standing by Ukraine. And that was a constant theme that he returned to during an extended Prime Minister's questions. Sir Keir Starmer attacking some of the statements that candidates for leadership have made and asking Johnson whether he agreed or disagreed with them. But really, there wasn't much for Sir Keir Starmer to do here in terms of damaging Johnson because, look, he's an outgoing Prime Minister, and it all started very cordially enough, but at one point Johnson called Keir Starmer a pointless human bollard, and there was a bit of mudslinging going on, of course, from the opposition parties, including the Scottish National Party, who said that Boris Johnson was now going to limp off into the history books. At the end, as expected, Boris Johnson got a standing ovation, loud cheers from and applause from the Conservative MPs. But what the irony of that is, only a week or so ago, those same MPs on his own side voted in a motion to have no confidence in him. So the irony of what happened a short time ago, the PMQ's only finished a few minutes ago, was just quite profound, that all those people who've been stabbing him in the back for the last few weeks and calling on him to go, including the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who was sitting next to Boris Johnson today. It's just quite ironical, it really is.
But that is politics for you, by the way. But in the meantime, how will Boris Johnson be remembered?
That's a good question, and of course his legacy it's quite right that he got Brexit done and that Britain did do quite well coming out of COVID compared with other countries, and of course Britain has a strong record of standing by Ukraine under Boris Johnson. But is he one of the great prime ministers of the past? Is he a Disraeli? Is he a Gladstone? Is he a Churchill? Is he a Thatcher? Is he a Blair? I'm not sure about that. Maybe when one reflects on what happens in the next 12 months, 2 years, and look back at the Boris Johnson reign, perhaps you can become more enthusiastic, perhaps, about his status. But personally speaking, I don't think he was one of Britain's greatest prime ministers if you compare him with others, the ones that I mentioned. He was a cheerleader rather than a leader, you might say, extremely popular and still is in certain parts of the country. And he delivered for the Conservatives a thumping majority 3 years ago. But he has these flaws, and it's all about trust, and Partygate was what did for Boris Johnson. Whilst people were observing COVID rules, he was at parties in Downing Street, and that has upset many, many people in this country, and arguably quite rightly so. So for those reasons, I think he's a Prime Minister of note. Whether he's a great Prime Minister, I think that's a much bigger question.
He's certainly a bit of a Shakespearean tragedy there, but the race to his job continues on today. What stage are we at right now?
Well, more voting by MPs today. They're voting this afternoon, but by 4 o'clock London time and Nigerian time, we'll know who the final two are. They've been whittled down to three, as you said in the intro: Rishi Sunak, Penny Mordaunt, and Liz Truss. Sunak, former Chancellor of the Exchequer, Mordaunt, former Defence Secretary, Liz Truss has held many ministerial posts and at the moment is Foreign Secretary. She could well benefit, being on the right-hand side of the party, from votes that Kemi Bedinak, of course, is not in the running, benefited from. So whether those votes will drift away towards Truss, I think that's probably likely. So the final two, and this is Cookson's prediction, is Sunak and Truss for the final two. After that, there's voting amongst Conservative Party members for a month, and we'll know by the 5th of September who the winner is.
All right, 5th of September. We'll keep an eye on that. We want to say many thanks to you, John Cookson, for your time here on Newsday.